here, and you'll see this only on Fox 11, the case of a Cerritos businessman's murder that just took an unexpected turn.
It was a cold night on February 15, 2024, when the quiet town of Brooksville was shaken by an unimaginable tragedy.
Death of up-and-coming rap star XXXTentacion, but two of the suspects are still on the run this morning.
Sarah Miller, a beloved teacher at the local high school.
Very dramatic day in court as a young man learned his fate. He beat his girlfriend's little boy to death because he wouldn't stop crying.
Was found brutally murdered in her own home.
Bringing you the story of a murder of a father, a husband, a businessman that happened on the bike path here, and police were trying to identify two people that were seen at the murder scene.
The entire community was left in disbelief. Sarah was known for her kindness and dedication. How could something so horrific happen here? As the investigation unfolded, authorities discovered a trail of disturbing clues. Witnesses reported strange activity near Sarah's house on the night of her death, but no one could piece together the full story. This crime, once thought unimaginable for such a peaceful town, would soon become the topic of nationwide conversation. The shockwaves of Sarah's death left Brooksville and the rest of the country grappling with fear and confusion, questioning their own safety in a world where no one was truly safe anymore. A deep dive into the victim's background and personal life. Sarah Miller was more than just a teacher. She was a beacon of light in Brooksville. Born on March 2, 1985, Sarah grew up in the same small town, where she quickly became a well-respected member of the community. Known for her compassion, she was a favorite among her students at Brooksville High School. Outside of work, Sarah loved reading and volunteering at local shelters, always finding time to help those in need. Her closest friends described her as a genuine, warm-hearted person who loved spending time with family. Sarah had recently become engaged to Daniel Reed, a local businessman, and they were planning a wedding for the following summer. Those who knew her well found it hard to believe that someone could harbor ill will towards Sarah. Her tragic death left everyone questioning who could possibly want to harm someone so beloved and cherished in the community. Key evidence and breakthroughs. The investigation into Sarah Miller's death began on February 16, 2024, the day after her body was discovered. Police quickly gathered evidence from the scene, including fingerprints and DNA samples. One of the first breakthroughs came when investigators found a blood-stained jacket near a nearby alley, which was linked to a suspect who had a criminal background. As the investigation progressed, detectives interviewed neighbors and friends. A mysterious phone call placed from Sarah's phone just hours before her death raised new suspicions. The breakthrough came when authorities traced the call to Tommy Harris, a former student of Sarah's, who had been expelled years earlier for violence. On March 3, 2024, Harris was arrested after a search of his home uncovered evidence connecting him directly to the crime scene. This major development left the community in shock, but it also provided hope that justice would soon be served. The role of forensic science in uncovering the truth. Forensic science played a crucial role in cracking the case of Sarah Miller's murder. After investigators secured the crime scene on February 15, 2024, experts from the State Forensic Lab were called in to process the evidence. DNA analysis revealed traces of blood on the victim's clothing, which didn't belong to Sarah. This led them to focus on identifying the source of the mysterious blood. The breakthrough came when toxicology reports showed traces of a sedative in Sarah's system, suggesting she had been drugged before the attack. Further analysis of the blood-stained jacket found near the crime scene confirmed that Tommy Harris's DNA was present. Additionally, fingerprint analysis linked Harris to the victim's phone, which had been used to make a suspicious call. Forensic science not only provided critical evidence, but it also helped authorities piece together the timeline of events, bringing them closer to solving the mystery that had left the nation in shock. How the press shaped public perception. The murder of Sarah Miller quickly became the subject of intense media coverage, starting with the first report on February 17, 2024. News outlets across the country were captivated by the horrific crime, with journalists rushing to Brooksville to cover the unfolding investigation. Sensational headlines, such as "A Quiet Town in Shock" and "Who Killed Sarah Miller?" grabbed the public's attention. The relentless media attention put pressure on law enforcement, with some reporters speculating wildly about potential suspects, including Tommy Harris, before he was formally arrested. Local TV stations aired interviews with Sarah's friends, family, and students, painting a picture of the woman they had lost. While the media coverage brought public attention to the case, it also sparked debates about privacy and the ethics of reporting. The constant presence of cameras and journalists added to the emotional toll on Sarah's loved ones, who struggled with the dual heartbreak of her death and the media circus surrounding it. The frenzy intensified public interest, but also spread confusion as misinformation began to swirl. Trials, tribulations, and controversies. The legal proceedings surrounding the murder of Sarah Miller began in April 2024, with Tommy Harris facing charges of first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. His defense attorney argued that there was insufficient evidence to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt, claiming that the DNA on the blood-stained jacket could have been planted. The prosecution, however, presented a strong case, including forensic evidence and witness testimony. As the trial progressed, new controversies emerged. During Harris's pre-trial motions, a confession he made during a private conversation was leaked to the media, raising questions about whether it had been obtained legally. This leak caused a wave of public opinion to shift in Harris's favor, as some believed he had been coerced into confessing. Stories from those affected. The murder of Sarah Miller left a profound impact on Brooksville, a town that had once prided itself on its safety and tight-knit community. The local schools were deeply affected, with many students struggling to cope with the loss of their beloved teacher. Sarah's class, in particular, felt the absence acutely, as she had been known for her caring nature and personal investment in her students' success. Sarah's family was devastated, especially her parents, who had watched their daughter grow into a compassionate adult. In interviews, her mother, Helen Miller, spoke about the joy Sarah had brought to their family and how the community had rallied around them during the most difficult time of their lives. Local businesses also felt the impact as tourism to Brooksville dropped, with people now fearing that violence could touch even the safest of places. Support groups formed across the town, with neighbors helping each other cope with the emotional aftermath. The community came together in ways that had never been seen before, as everyone, in their own way, tried to heal from the shock that had changed their town forever. Understanding the minds behind the crime. As the investigation into Sarah Miller's murder deepened, authorities turned to psychological experts to help understand the mind of the suspect, Tommy Harris. A psychological profile was created to explore his motives and behavior. Harris, a former student of Sarah's, had a history of violence and trouble in his early years, leading experts to believe that unresolved anger might have been a factor. Psychologists suggested that Harris's actions might stem from a combination of personal failure and resentment. Growing up with a troubled family background and struggling with his own issues of inadequacy, he may have targeted Sarah, someone who represented everything he could never be: successful, loved, and respected by the community. The experts noted that Harris likely felt humiliated when Sarah confronted him about his previous behavior at school, which may have pushed him to act violently. The lingering mysteries of the case. Despite the arrest and conviction of Tommy Harris, there remain several unanswered questions surrounding the murder of Sarah Miller. Investigators and the public alike were left to wonder. What exactly triggered Harris to kill Sarah? Was there something deeper, perhaps an unknown connection between them, that had been overlooked? Forensic experts also questioned the sedative found in Sarah's system, asking whether it was a coincidence or if someone else had been involved in planning the attack. Some speculated that there could have been a second person helping Harris, someone who might have escaped detection due to a lack of evidence. Another mystery revolved around the phone call Sarah made just hours before her death. While it was traced to Harris, many questioned whether it was him who actually made the call. Was there someone else on the other end? Someone who could still be out there? Moving forward after the tragedy. The aftermath of Sarah Miller's murder left not just Brooksville, but the entire nation grappling with the tragedy. As the trial of Tommy Harris drew to a close in July 2024, and he was ultimately found guilty, the community and the country were left to process the deep emotional scars left by such a shocking crime. For many, the road to healing began with memorials for Sarah, candles, flowers, and tributes poured in from across the country, reminding everyone of the light that Sarah had been in the lives of those who knew her. In Brooksville, local leaders and mental health professionals organized support groups and counseling sessions to help those struggling with grief. Many students, deeply affected by the loss of their favorite teacher, found solace in group therapy, where they could share their emotions and feel understood. The national conversation shifted to safety and the importance of mental health awareness. People began to recognize the impact of untreated trauma and emotional distress, leading to a push for better support systems. While the scars of that fateful night would never fully fade, the tragedy sparked a collective effort to heal, offering hope that something positive could come from such unimaginable loss. The mystery doesn't end here. Find out how a dangerous criminal syndicate twisted innocent lives in our next video. Web of Deceit. How a criminal syndicate exploited innocent lives. Subscribe now to stay ahead of the truth.